Gloria Gaither has always stood beside her husband, Bill Gaither, not simply Asha's partner in life, but as the soulful heart of gospel music itself. Now, with a voice that has grown fragile with age and a tone filled with tearful honesty, she seems to be saying her most difficult goodbye. Farewell is not on light of the stage she has graced for decades, but possibly to the millions of people who have found comfort, faith, and hope through her words. The question many fans are asking is, what truly happened behind the scenes that brought Gloria to his emotional farewell? And why does it feel like the world of gospel music is bracing for one of its most heartbreaking chapters? For decades, Gloria Gaither has been recognized as much more than just the wife of gospel icon Bill Gaither. She has been the poetic force, the emotional anchor, and the voice of faith behind some of the most enduring songs in Christian history. As the co-writer of countless Gaither classics, her lyrics have touched millions with their timeless wisdom and unwavering faith. Today, at 82 years old, Gloria has shared a heartfelt message with her fans, a message that marks a turning point in her life and career. In a recent video released by the Gaither Music Group, Gloria appeared visibly moved as she expressed gratitude for decades of prayers, support, and love from her audience. Her voice trembled slightly as she began. There comes a time when you feel a gentle tug on your heart, a sense that God is calling you to a quieter season. Though she stopped short of using the word retirement, her words clearly hinted at stepping away from large public appearances and the stage that defined so much of her life. Instead, Gloria revealed her desire to spend more time with her family, to focus on writing, and to embrace moments of peace and reflection. A stark contrast to her decades of touring, performing, and ministry. Before she became known as a legendary lyricist and a matriarch of Southern gospel, Gloria Gaither was simply Gloria Sickle. Born on March 4, 1942 in Michigan, she grew up in a Christian home rooted in strong moral values, deep faith, and a love for education, literature, and music. Gloria showed an early gift for language and expression. She excelled in school where her passion for poetry, writing, and the arts was evident. After finishing high school, she enrolled at Anderson University, a Christian college in Indiana, to study English. It was here that she not only sharpened her intellect, but also deepened her spiritual foundation, preparing her for the incredible journey ahead. At Anderson, Gloria's life changed when she met a young and energetic music teacher named Bill Gaither. At first, their relationship was simply professional. Bill was already exploring gospel music, having formed the Gaither Trio with his brother and sister. Yet, their shared passion for faith, creativity, and ministry soon drew them closer. In 1962, the two married, beginning a partnership that would transform the landscape of Christian music forever. Initially, Gloria continued her career as an English teacher at Alexandria High School, while Bill pursued music full-time. But her talent for language could not remain hidden. Her poetic insight and lyrical gifts soon began weaving their way into the trio's songs. Bill would create the melodies, and Gloria would bring them to life with heartfelt words that resonated deeply with audiences. Her breakthrough moment came with the iconic hymn, "Because He Lives," song born during one of the most turbulent times in their lives. By the late 1960s, Bill and Gloria seemed to embody the perfect Christian life. They were happily married, raising children, and pouring themselves into ministry. Yet beneath the surface, both were navigating profound struggles. The world outside was in chaos. The Vietnam War raged on. The civil rights movement was reshaping. The nation and traditional Christian values were under challenge. Within their home, Bill was battling exhaustion from the demands of constant touring, while Gloria, pregnant with their third child, was overwhelmed with anxiety about the kind of world in which she would raise her baby. In this season of uncertainty, they leaned heavily on their faith. During a moment of prayer and quiet reflection, Gloria experienced a wave of peace and assurance in God's promises. Out of this deeply spiritual encounter, The words to Because He Lives began to form. The song was not written from a place of ease, but from fear, struggle, and the desperate need for hope. That is why it struck such a powerful chord with people everywhere. When it was recorded in 1971, it quickly became a global anthem, giving Christians courage in times of hardship. The success of Because He Lives catapulted both Bill and Gloria into a new realm of influence. But it especially marked Gloria as a profound theological voice and a gifted poet whose words could stir hearts and souls. Despite the growing spotlight, Gloria never lost her humility. She continued to write prolifically not only songs but devotionals, books, and reflections on family, faith, and purpose. Alongside Bill, she co-wrote more than 700 songs, many of which became church staples around the world. What made Gloria's writing unique was the way she would deep theology together with raw humanity. She didn't write from an ivory tower. She wrote from the real-life trenches of motherhood, ministry, joy, and grief. Through the 1970s and 1980s, as the Gaither vocal band rose in popularity and the Gaither Homecoming video series was born, Gloria's influence remained ever present. Though she was rarely the one holding the microphone, her voice was everywhere in the lyrics and the prayers, in the heartfelt reflection that touched audiences around the globe. During this era, she also became a mentor to younger Christian artists and a sought speaker at women's conferences. Her thoughtful intellectual style stood out in a male-dominated industry, offering a calming yet deeply profound perspective. Gloria's gift was not only in her writing, but in her ability to understand the human soul, the struggles, the doubts, the joys, and the unshakable hope found in faith. While the Gaither trio evolved into the Gaither vocal band and the Homecoming series reached millions, Gloria remained the steady force, guiding with her wisdom and grace. Now, as she steps back from public ministry, fans reflect not just on her contributions to gospel music, but on her extraordinary journey from a small-town teacher to one of the most powerful voices of faith through song. By the time the 1970s and 1980s unfolded, Gloria Gaither had solidified her place as a quiet yet revolutionary figure in gospel music. Bill may have stood at center stage, but Gloria was the current beneath it. All the unseen yet unshakable force shaping their spiritual and creative legacy. Their music was never just about entertainment. It was a ministry in Gloria's lyrics. Elevated it with depth and literary elegance that was rare in the genre. In a field often saturated with repetition, Gloria's words stood apart. They were rich with imagery, theological wisdom, and emotional truth. She had a unique gift for turning the grand mysteries of God into intimate lines that could be sung by everyday believers walking through grief, joy, doubt, and faith. Perhaps her greatest contribution was the sense of narrative she brought to gospel music. She didn't simply write songs. She told stories. Stories of despair turned to hope, darkness transformed into light, and death overcome by resurrection. Her work carried the weight of Scripture translated into the language of human experience. Beyond music, Gloria became a voice for Christian women across generations. She embodied a balance of intellect, faith, and compassion, showing women everywhere that strength and softness, wisdom and humility could coexist in a life of faith. Her journey has been nothing short of remarkable. Now, as she steps into a quieter season, her legacy as a writer, teacher, mentor, and voice of faith will continue to echo for years to come. At a time when very few women held prominent theological positions or creative roles within the Christian music world, Gloria Gaither quietly broke barriers. She was never the type of performer who relied on glitter, stage lights, or heels to make an impression. Nor was she simply confined to the traditional role of a pastor's wife singing in background. Instead, Gloria stood out as an intellectual, a mother, a thinker, and a spiritual guide. All of these identities wrapped together in one extraordinary woman. Her gifts went far beyond the stage. She authored dozens of devotionals, journals, and reflective essays that explored the intersections of faith, culture, identity, and family. These writings were not just words on paper. They became lifelines for women who were navigating the challenges of motherhood, the demands of ministry, and the silent burdens of everyday life. Gloria wrote honestly about struggles. She did not pretend to have every answer, but she knew how to point people toward the one who did. Her legacy stretched far beyond her songs and writings. Gloria made a significant investment in the next generation, pouring herself into education and disciple alongside her husband. She co-founded Gaither Family Resources Center and the Gaither Homecoming Bible, both of which became tools for spiritual growth and learning. Through her mentorship and her public platform, she opened doors for younger gospel artists, especially for women who admired her not just as a songwriter, but also as a role model who proved that substance mattered more than image. In a world that increasingly glorified celebrity culture, Gloria remained grounded and focused on faithfulness. She once reflected, "We never set out to be stars. We set out to be faithful." That commitment has made all the difference. Behind every lyric Gloria Gaither ever wrote was a deeply lived life. She was never flashy, nor did she crave attention. Yet anyone who spent even a brief moment in her presence could feel the quiet gravity of her soul. Her faith was never performative, was lived, practiced, tested, and refined in the furnace of real life. Perhaps Gloria's greatest ministry was not found on stage, but in the way she showed up in everyday moments. Friends describe her as a careful listener, a thoughtful and discerning presence. She did not rush to fill silence with noise, but instead filled it with peace. In meetings,